Across history, different cultures and people have disagreed a great deal on what's considered right or wrong. The Romans thought slavery was permissible, some cultures discriminate against women. To this day, there are people who think it's okay to have loud phone conversations on the train when people are trying to sleep or read or, I don't know, just listen to my own thoughts. It seems that even after thousands of years of ethical theorizing, we still can't agree on how we should live our lives, making a lot of us come to the conclusion that morality is subjective, a matter of opinion, or relative to our cultures. At a glance, this seems quite plausible, and not only that, it seems like one of the best ways to guarantee tolerance between different peoples. This is why I think it's usually surprising to people to find out that it's considered a fringe view in academic philosophy. In this video, I'll go through some of the reasons why one might reject cultural relativism. As stated earlier, moral disagreement is seen as one of the data points that make people lean towards cultural relativism. However, it's actually something that the theory struggles with. Let's say I'm having a moral debate. Under cultural relativism, if I say murder is wrong and they say murder is permissible, as long as our respective cultures endorse our claims, both of our statements are true. However, they contradict each other because they're mutually exclusive, which is bad for relativism. Theories that produce contradictions need some work. The way relativists get around this is by changing what our statements mean. When I say murder is wrong, really what I'm saying is something like, according to my culture, murder is wrong. The contradiction is solved. However, now relativists can't make sense of disagreement. This is because even if you're my interlocutor, you would agree that yes, according to Connor's culture, murder is wrong. This means you can get strange conversations like this. Murder is wrong. I agree. However, murder is permissible.
I shall give you your solution to your contradiction. And in return, I ask just one thing. Moral disagreement.
Just a sec.
Daddy! I knew you'd come back!
Here you go.
When there are debates around abortion, animal ethics, or capital punishment, it seems that people really are disagreeing with each other. Relativism has a hard time explaining that. Ironically, while relativists levy disagreement as evidence against the existence of objective moral truths, moral realism actually does a pretty good job of explaining it. There's disagreement about a great many things that there are objective facts about. For example, the existence of God is objective. Either they exist or they don't, and their existence is not determined by our attitudes. One side of the argument is incorrect on this issue, and this will be best explained by them having some kind of rational fault, rather than the existence of God being relative. Let's say that you spend your whole life believing that consuming animal products is permissible. However, one day you start to reflect on the effect that these products have on animals, and you ask yourself, is it really permissible to kill and eat cows? This sort of thing happens a lot. In fact, it's really just a part of growing as a person. Tell me, how many moral beliefs of yours have changed since you were 14? I'd wager quite a lot. I mean, I can't sleep at night without my mind cinema playing every wrong choice I've ever made in my life. This phenomenon is hard to make sense of under subjectivism. Why would we ever second guess our moral choices if the mere belief that our choices are moral is enough to make them correct? What standard are you measuring it against? If you believe that eating animal products is permissible, then it is. So why wonder about it? Sure, we might wonder about certain empirical premises that might affect our moral choices, things like, do fetuses feel pain? However, what subjectivism struggles with are those kind of moral wonderings. We might think, was it okay to lie to save someone's feelings? Or should I have been so critical of my friend's mistake? Under subjectivism, the ultimate test for morality is one's own approval. So this would be like enjoying ice cream and then wondering, wait, do I like ice cream? The same can be scaled up for cultural relativism. Cultures change their minds on issues all the time, and for the most part, they seem to progress. Under relativism, not only is pro-slavery America morally equal to its modern counterpart, but it also would have had no moral reason to abolish slavery in the first place. On top of this, abolitionists would have been committing some evil when they went against the culture by trying to relinquish white people's right to own black people. I think any theory that agrees with all that is not very intuitive and should be considered suspect. One thing that relativism claims to have on its side is tolerance. If all moral beliefs are equally valid, then no one has the right to push their views onto anyone else. If there are objective moral truths, then sometimes people would have the right to force their views. But that's not the case. You should always be tolerant. Couple things wrong with this. Firstly, what if my culture doesn't value tolerance? People who say this don't realize that by saying you shouldn't force your view onto others, they're forcing their own view onto others, that being the view that you shouldn't force your view onto others. Under cultural relativism, whether or not tolerance is considered a virtue is determined by the culture. To say that relativism is true on the grounds that everyone should be tolerant is to unwittingly subscribe to an objective moral fact. Also, by the way, it's not obvious that we should always be tolerant. Sometimes people have shitty views. I don't think we should be tolerant of anti-Semitism. People who say things like, oh, and who made you the moral arbiter all of a sudden when you make moral arguments, probably have no problem being the moral arbiter when faced with slavery, murder, or the Nazis. Maybe we should be intolerant of some moral beliefs. I hope that explains some of the problems that relativism faces. As usual, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time.